that is etched into my soul. Straight up, we're coming up on a year anniversary of my kissing a married man. This is like the worst possible thing I could ever imagine for myself, morally, based on my own experience. Like, this is something I would never, ever do. And yet I found myself in this position. But most importantly, I want to share this because it taught me feelings are not facts. I was parked. I saw this very attractive man who I thought was the guy I took to prom, and it's like screaming his name and like waving crazy person in the car. Then I got out of the car and he was just staring at me like bemused. And I was like, dude, like, what? Hello, what? You know. And then he spoke, and it was in a straight Braveheart Scottish accent. And I was like, okay, you are not that person. You have a doppelganger you don't know about. And then I noticed, like, a little bit later in the conversation, his eyes were a little bit lighter. And I'm thinking, well, shoot, I just found this guy out of nowhere, and he is so nice and funny. And he's like, but I'd love to take you out on an afternoon adventure. And I was like, sweet, I love afternoon adventure. And he was like, I'm in town for like a couple months for work. And I was like, cool. And, okay, first thing I did, look for the ring. No ring tan. So I thought he was in town for a couple months, coming from Scotland. P.S. like, I knew I was never gonna sleep with him. I don't do that. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't. Personally, no judgment. He was staying at these, like, one of these, like, suites for executives, you know what I'm saying? I met him there. Dear God, okay, this is, like, I swear to God, someday I will outgrow my naivety, because I took afternoon adventure to mean hike. I had a fanny pack. I had my single pair of, like, actual athletic shoes on. He was down waiting for me in the lobby, working on his laptop, but I was late. I don't know why. I'm, like, late a lot. Anyway, so he was up in his room, and I was like, that's fine. I honestly, again, I'm like, oh, that's fine. I'll just go get him and grab him, we'll go. And he opens the door. He has closed all the shades, except for like 3 inches, leaving this like wannabe atmospheric glow illuminating the room. And he is in like a t-shirt and lacrosse shorts and no socks, no shoes to be seen. And this is where I just want to say, I know, oh my God, I have a serious naivety problem. I walked into the room. Who does that? Like, nothing happened. It was fine. But in retelling the story and, like, in retelling it to my friends, like, it's just like, that could have been such a terrible situation. But, like, in my mind, I was like, no, this guy's great. We're gonna go hiking. But I was like, why does this dude look like he's in his pajamas? Long story short, I was like hit by a wall of his emotions. And then he, like, it's like the look in his eyes, he just crumbled. And then he kissed me. And then my body is very smart. Like, I've had to break up with people before. Like, my mind had caught up because my body was already like, I'm gonna puke. When he kissed me, I had the very visceral feeling that it was like kissing a corpse. I also want to say one thing. I forgot. Oh my gosh, this is really important too. Before every date, I do 2 things. I run a background check on them, and I text them. I know this seems small. I text them, do you have a girlfriend? One more chance to glean a little more data about this guy. He didn't answer. And me, I already established this he's funny and nice filter. I was like, oh yeah, I know. He probably is like, duh, I asked you out. I obviously don't have a girlfriend. I left immediately. It took the corpse flash to get me out of there. And this is something, I'm gonna read this. It's by Timber Hawkeye. Emotions are the potholes on what would otherwise be a smooth path to utopia. Two weeks later, keep this quote in mind. I'm at the community pool with my friend and her kids. I see Scottish man in the baby pool with his children. I stalked with my eyes until I was 100% certain that there was no wife or girlfriend at the pool, because I absolutely did not want to cause any pain or hurt for anyone else, because I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, dude, You obviously don't live in Scotland if you are a member of the community pool. And I'm sure these aren't your nieces and nephews. So he was sitting on like one of those strappy plastic chairs next to the baby pool. And I sat down next to him and I was like, remember me? Again, he was not wearing his ring. So I'm thinking he's like one of those guys who has a partner. He does not live in Scotland. He's here at the freaking normal neighborhood pool with kids. There would be no need to hide any of that with me. I'm in the same position. He gave me the weirdest look. And then I was like, oh God. And honestly, like in my head, I was like, come on, Susan. Like, can we wake up? I was like, oh, my bad. Okay, you're married. I was ferociously and equally angry and vomitous. The idea that I had been a part of a situation that in any way could end up hurting another woman, even like a fraction of what I've been through, knowing that my emotions were overwhelming. And this is why feelings aren't facts. I learned, like I viscerally embodied this understanding through this circumstance. Our emotions, they're very much like our thoughts. They like emerge from within, but they aren't facts. They're information. And that's why our emotions cannot be our North Star for data. They cannot be the compass. Because our emotions, they come in hot. They'll come in topsy-turvy and back-asswards and upside down and like at a level 11 out of 10. And in this case, I had to walk myself through what had happened. And in that chair, during that conversation, the first thing I said was, is your wife coming? Because I wanted to know. I did not want to cause any pain or confusion. I swim every day. Please don't ever look at me. Please don't ever speak to me. Now I have to live with the knowledge that I have kissed somebody's husband, and that's on you. We have nothing to talk about. I had to go through this process like in my own meditation and in my own prayers because I felt so dumb and ashamed. I couldn't believe I was on the flip side of such a situation, and I wanted to hate him for that. But this is when I had to do what is the North Star and what emotional maturity actually requires. It's observing our emotions and then applying discernment to them. Discernment is the North Star, not our raw emotions. And in this case, if you'll follow me, discernment is like, yes, I admittedly put on rose-colored glasses. It was so funny and fun when we met. And, you know, I looked for a ring tan even. I'm not like, I know to look for those things. And he presented such a different self when we first met. And I was really excited. And yes, I am still really naive. I literally never thought anyone would say afternoon adventure and mean come over for a one-day stand. Like, I just didn't. I just thought he was a cheesy, funny person. I was like, I love that. He's kind of a dork. So that's why I showed up with my fanny pack. Like, I had to talk this through, and I am at peace with it now. When I look at my motives never once did it ever occur to me that he was married, and I know that. If I let my emotions run this situation, I would still be dragging a boulder of shame. And that boulder of shame is not mine, it is his. So the next time something incredibly emotional happens, try not to immediately react. Try, it's hard. Hold your breath for a second. Pause in any freaking way you can. Bring in a little bit of that logic-based resonance. Bring in discernment to help you navigate whatever is overwhelming you in the moment. Emotions in and of themselves are just data. We have to go a step further via discernment to be able to gracefully and correctly use that information, so we don't end up either taking a shortcut and dodging the blame or blaming ourselves unnecessarily. Do you see what I mean? So please take this story as an embodied example of my learning. Emotions are not facts. Okay, I love you guys. Please subscribe. Please download my ebook. Some really, really good tips to try to help you guys with emotional sovereignty and agency.